Refuge Community Church began in our house. It began with a burden, and that burden was many broken people that did not seem to fit in anywhere. We started with 4 people in our house, and in those 4 people, we started with a Bible study, and all of a sudden we ended up growing. We ended up bringing in a family that was able to help us with youth and teenagers because we had all these young kids that were gathering. And before we knew it, there was 29 people gathered in our house, and we're going, this isn't going to be sustainable. So we decided to go on a journey. And as we went on that journey, the Lord took us back to a neighborhood I despised. The very neighborhood I grew up in, the neighborhood that my parents still live in. And we noticed that the people we were gathering, a lot of them were from that neighborhood. So we took a journey down Broadview Road, and we took a look at a church down a little further on Broadview. And we went down there and we explained that we were at 29 people and we were growing, and we thought that this neighborhood needed to hear the gospel, and we needed to meet people right where they were. So we presented down at Broadview Baptist this vision, and their leadership said that they loved the idea of partnership. And in the past, they had done this before. That experience was $700 a month. We were at $1.59 in terms of offerings. So we prayed and we waited. And the next day, they called and they told us to give as the Lord provided. And that night, we ended up with keys. And that Friday, we ended up bringing that ragtag group of 29 people down into the parlor where we began church.
So Pastor Don told you about the 29 that began to gather here in Old Brooklyn, the very neighborhood that he swore he'd never come back to. And it's God's heart for this neighborhood. And Refuge began to have a presence, and that really began to change during COVID. During COVID, we had the opportunity to become part of something called Farmers to Families. The government was about to start dumping food because they couldn't give it away. And we said yes to 2 semi-trucks the very first day. And then for 13 months, we said yes to at least 1, sometimes 2 semi-trucks full of these 30-pound boxes of food. And it was during COVID that Refuge actually began to grow. We weren't meeting in the building for a period of time, but then we began to come back, and the people began to come back because their needs had been met. And that's the purpose of the church. The church is to be in a community, and to be a part of a community, to the point where if the church were to ever leave, the community would mourn that church was gone. And that's what we want for Refuge. We've since grown, we've since added a second service because that very church that was renting to Refuge initially determined that they needed to step back from ministry and they wanted the gospel to continue in this place. And so they gifted the building to Refuge. The church is a refuge because we're here on Friday nights, but now we have Sunday morning as well. And these people are growing, they're figuring out what the gospel really means to them. We're here now, we're entrenched, and we're ready to take the gospel into this neighborhood and beyond, but it takes partnership in order to do it.
Jeff just shared with you a little bit about what this church has made progress in the last couple of years, how we've progressed and how we've continued to do what God has sent us to do in this neighborhood of Old Brooklyn. And I've been on staff here just over a year now, and I've been brought on staff for the sole purpose of the next generation of this church, to continue to watch this church to grow, to reach out to my people group and to the people group ahead of me, just to continue the growth of this church through the younger generation. So you've heard from us. You've heard from what God is doing, what God has done, and we have plans to continue that. We strive to be here 16 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, to allow this neighborhood to understand that the church is a place for the sick, a place that people can come in time of need, in time of desperation, and in times of joy. It brought me on staff at such a young age to allow us to get the next step on this younger generation, to see what this younger generation needs, to allow us to be, again, this hospital for the sick, to see what they need and to help with this need of this neighborhood from day one, whether it be babies or children or youth. We want to allow this church to be a place for all to come here to praise the Lord and to see what God is doing in this neighborhood. Refuge has had a goal since day one, from my living room all the way and now until our services weekly, to to be building bridges from brokenness to restoration through Jesus Christ. And we have plans and we have goals to continue that in this city, again, to allow these people to fully understand the need and the helpfulness of church in a local context.
So you've heard from us. Now the question is, how can you help? So remember how I took you on that story of $1.59, and we began with $1.59 and the Lord provided and we came down here. Well, where we're at now is we need your help so we can continue to have staff. We can continue to meet the needs. We can continue to branch out in that neighborhood. So we have a campaign that we're calling the 100 for 100. And basically what this is if we can come up with 100 people that will do $100 a month, that gives us an additional $10,000 a month to dedicate straight to salaries. So the other partnerships, the other things that are already being built, the people that are already coming, more of their resources can go to maintaining the building and can maintaining ministry. So in the description below, there is a link. If you click on that link, it will take you to our donate page. On our donate page, you can pick the option of staff support. This will allow you to partner with us monthly as you fund us so we can be here